Hey, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co. and today I'm unboxing Dune, War for Arrakis from Command Games. Coffee shot as usual before we go ahead and start this off, and this as usual is going to be an unboxing and rambling, which is, if you're new to the channel, it basically means I'll be talking about whatever I want to talk about, from Dune to Command to the coffee on the table, which, by the way, this is actually this is a longer story about my coffee. I used to get coffee from BJ's. BJ's the giant, Costco-like store. And then over time, I started getting, not over time, I found that at one point, I started having the Chip Theory Games coffee. This is what I mean by the rambling, by the way. This is where we're going to go over here. But the Chip Theory Games coffee, I really enjoyed that. And I liked it quite a bit. But then, and we'll put these off to the side, but then I found that the Chip Theory Games coffee, while delicious, I started trying other flavored coffees that were also very, very good. And there's these giant bags I've gotten that are not as good as Chip Theory Games coffee, but they are very similar, and they're much cheaper, frankly. And so I've been enjoying that coffee, which is what I have right now. I believe the one I have right now is something grog. My favorite one from the ones I've tried so far is the blueberry one, but the caramel I don't like as much. I like caramel as a flavor. This particular brand, the caramel coffee, doesn't work for me as much. The blueberry one I do like. But either way, let's go ahead and get into Dune, War for Arrakis from Command Games. This box over here, by the way, the double nature of just the way they have that box and the flippable aspect of that cover, the fact that you never know which side right is wrong. I mean, if you watch my videos, it's never wrong now, because it's always Dune War for Arrakis. They even made the font on both sides. It's always Dune. I mean, it could go this way, but it's always going to be right, which I appreciate that little level of detail just for me. From there, we have our usual rulebook. We'll be going into the rulebook first. This is a game I've played. I partially read the rulebook myself, partially got taught by Devin, conveniently when Devin decided to play me on a filmed TTS stream. If you want to check that out on the channel, he won. He also forgot some rules that favored him, but that's neither here nor there. In any case, to attempt an understanding of Muad'Dib without understanding his mortal enemies, the Harkonnen, is to attempt seeing truth without knowing falsehood. It is the attempt to see the light without knowing darkness. It cannot be. I'm halfway through Dune. I'm currently going through an Audible book of it. It's so long on Audible, and I usually only do it when I'm driving, which I don't drive enough. It's been the longest book I've ever read at this point. I think we're going on like 8 months. I like Audible, but I like Audible with shorter books. Anyways, we have our general rules over here. This is a 48-page rulebook. Wow. Wow, okay, but usually Command rulebooks are very full of pictures and text. We'll see what's going on here. Well, text is the problem, I guess. We have an introduction or overview. Then we have game board. That's all fine over here. You know what? Let's start counting from game board. So page 8 over here, we got vehicles, talking about the tokens over here. This is the setup over here. The basic idea, you're playing the Harkonnen vs. Atreides. You're going to be playing an asymmetric game with different ways that they win. As you try to go through this over here, we talk about some placement. Oh dear lord, the spice harvesting. Why is this so long? I don't understand why it's so long, because the rules shouldn't be that long. General rules. The game, I mean, it's not the most confusing game. It's from the designers of War of the Ring, so there is that, in case you played War of the Ring. It has some degrees of elements that are similarity while being totally different at the same time, which is, I guess, any game to any game. Are these scenarios? No, this is the Old Man of the Desert. So you start moving now. The Old Man of the Desert is an optional rule reserved for players ready to face the fear. Okay, we have possible futures as a module, so we have that, along with the Duke, the Assassin, the Baron is dead. So really, I'd say 34 is where you start shifting out of, actually things you need to know. Yeah, I think this is where you start shifting out. So from 32 to 8, so again, 24 pages. It's still something to go through, make no mistake, but it's not nearly the 48 that scares you at first. At least I don't think so. We have 3 to 4 players mode, which I don't imagine I'll ever play, but you never really know. We have the Mahdi solo mode. That I might give a shot. It depends. The big question with a game like this is how often am I actually going to sit down and table it? But ultimately, if you're looking for a new Dune game outside of Dune Imperium, well, there's Dune Imperium Uprising. And I guess Dune War for Arrakis. Anyways, let's go through all this over here. Like I said already, I have played this game. I played it doing the prototype phase on TTS only. I'm pretty sure it's TTS only. I think they only had TTS. Did they have physical copies? I don't remember. Now I'm wondering if they have physical copies. But I played it on TTS. I went through it with Devin. Played, was it 2.5 games or 1.5 games? I can't remember exactly. I remember the half, because the half was the first game we played, just to get up and running before resetting and actually diving into it. I definitely enjoyed it. My big concern with games like this always is, how often am I tabling a 2-player game that takes, 2 hours to play? Because so far my answer is not that much. Rum and Bones from Command Games as well. Have the whole entire collection behind me. Love that game. Do not table it anywhere near enough. I want to, but I just don't have, I don't know. two-player games that are in the range of 2 hours don't hit the table as often. So over here you can have your player board over here, the Gidi Prime. We have the Harkonnen and the Atreides over here, the different boards they have. You're going to be placing your dice over here, using them for various actions, pulling to leadership, strategy, deployment, mentat, and house over here. And again, the same over here, plus desert power as well. You have certain cards that will go in certain areas over here that will be like the various factions they have, because they'll give you different abilities or different adjustments to the way you interact with them. You'll have your regeneration tank over here, and your regeneration tank over here. Again, different stats for different houses. I believe I've primarily played as the Stitch Stabber, I believe. I could be mistaken. We also have more of these boards over here. We have the House Atreides and the Fremen ally over here, which I wonder if these are for the 3 and 4 player game, because I don't recognize these, and I don't believe we have the Carino ally and the House of Harkonnen, so it feels like the allies and the Harkonnen are for that 4 player game to shift things up. We have our Spice Must Flow, which is that balance of playing as, I believe, I'm trying to remember who I think the Atreides player, no, the Harkonnen player, I believe, controls this. They have to be mindful of keeping their spice in check versus, no, this is the Atreides player or the Harkonnen player? It's the Atreides player, not the Harkonnen. The Atreides player, I believe, but here's the thing that confuses me. This looks red, so it makes me think it's part of the House Harkonnen, but I feel like vaguely reminiscent that this is part of the Atreides, but I could be mistaken. I could be misremembering, but the red part's throwing me off, so I don't know, we'll figure out. We have our tokens over here with our various token overlays. Nothing crazy over here, nothing, amazing or particular or whatever. This is all our tokens of the game, which we'll put delicately back in place until we actually go through it. The basic idea, like I said already, is asymmetric area control-ish. Not really full area control, but it has elements of area control. You're going to be assigning dice every single round across the board as you will basically try to manage your sides, whether trying to kill the Harkonnen or trying to, well, stamp out the various camps of the Atreides over there. Was I the Harkonnen player? Why can't I remember who I was? I might have been maybe I was the Harkonnen player. No, I don't know. I think maybe I was the Harkonnen, because the idea that the Atreides player, I think I played as Harkonnen, that's what it was. That's why I'm misremembering, because I played as the Harkonnen, not the Atreides. So I did control the red faction, which lines up with that Spice Must Flow board. Yeah, I think I was the Harkonnen player, now that I remembered. Anyways, or remember-ish. We have this over here, which we'll go through soon, because miniatures we always do last, because otherwise how am I ever going to hold your attention? There's only so long to stick around for our conversations around coffee. Although, coffee is... I tie my unboxings to coffee, which is always trouble, because if I don't hit one of my coffee slots in the day, either my early morning 9 o'clock coffee, and it's not early morning, but 9 o'clock coffee, to be fair, I go to bed right now these days around 3 a.m. in the morning. I don't know why, but my current schedule is like a 3 a.m. bedtime with getting up at, I don't know, 9, maybe 8:30, depends on the day. So we have our boards over here. Why is that? I don't know, by the way. I have no idea why that is. Oh, do we have 2 different boards? No, we have 2 different, I guess, possibly. Whoa. We're going to have to zoom out over here. I'm just going to show you everything you need over here for this. I guess we probably have 2 different boards-ish. I mean, or is it just straight up 2 different boards, period? Not really ish. No, this is straight up 2 different boards. This is straight up a gigantic amount of... Whoa. Okay. For the record, that is an unnecessary amount of table space for this. That is obscenely large. I can't imagine that's necessary. I mean, we're talking about Command Games over here. They like to fit like 1 Elder God, 17 figures, 3 investigators, and a bunch of tokens into a space the size of, I don't know, this over here. If you played Cthulhu Death May Die, you know what I'm talking about. This doesn't feel necessary. It's got gravitas to it, sure, but it doesn't feel necessary. It makes it seem cooler, I guess. You know, maybe we'll leave this out as we go ahead and gather our miniatures. So we'll leave that out. We'll gather our miniatures. We have 2 small boxes. This might be a short unboxing, honestly. There's not that much to get through over here. There's no, like, scenarios or packs or whatever it is. There's modules, some miniatures. I am curious how the miniatures are going to be in this one. They look okay. They look okay. I'm not blown away yet. Command in general has mixed results with their miniatures. Their miniatures are, like, not necessarily all over the place. Their miniatures are generally good. But how good does vary. Let's open up some cards over here. I find that they hit some of their peak with things like Hate. Hate has possibly some of their best miniatures. Massive Darkness I thought was very solid. Bloodborne is pretty good, I think, as well. What else is there? Blood Rage was solid. But then they've had some over the years where it gets a little bit more plasticky, a little bit more of that melted plastic look. These, at a glance, are good, but not necessarily great. And that might be a scaling factor as well. I don't know the scale of these. They don't look like your standard 32. They might be 28. I don't know. I am not a miniature expert, and honestly, you can put a 38 next to a 30. So you can put a 32 next to a 32, and sometimes I'll be like, those are both 32 miniatures, but they don't look the same size. So I don't fully understand miniature scaling either, for whatever it's worth. Now there's human scale and true scale and all this stuff. No, it's true scale. There's true scale versus some other term. But and then the concept of that is true scale would be like actually representative human proportions versus non-true scale, which I don't know. I think is it called heroic scale? Is that what it is? Heroic scale slightly adjusts the components, the aspects of your body, so that even though it's not factually true to what the miniature looks like, to what a standard human proportion would be, it still feels true and still looks right. So again, it's the difference between actual reality versus perceived reality, if that makes sense. And it does matter. So over here, we got Paul Atreides over here. Let's zoom back in, because we don't need this level of zoom out for right now. We'll have to deal with that map later. We have Paul Atreides over here. We got, Paul Muad'Dib. We have Lady Jessica, the Reverend Mother Jessica, Stilgar, Chani, Gurney Halleck, Naib leaders, the Wildmaker, Alia, Captain Armsham, Beast Robin. We have Thufir Hawat, Bashar leaders, the Baron Harkonnen, the Fade Rautha, Emperor Shaddam VV, Gaius Hellas Moham, all these. We have these various stacks over here. Paul drinks the water of life. We have all of these things over here, these various cards, and I don't know, we change this slowly to make it fit for human life. I don't even know what that card is. Is that a solo card? Because I don't recognize or remember that one. But either way, we have all these cards over here, which we will not go through everything because I just think the cards are less interesting. I don't know. We have all these abilities over here. You can be drawing cards as well. Those are fun. So we have, permanently discard any number of revealed prescience cards and replace them with the same number of cards drawn from the deck. Then play a planning card. Atomics immediately detonates any marker. If any markers at step 4 of the prescience track, then play a planning card. We have all these various abilities. Dust Chasm, remove 2 harvesters from deep desert areas of your choice from the same sector. And the basic idea is you're going to have various different camps. You're going to have your own House Atreides. Again, I think it is House Atreides over here. Or House Harkonnen. House Harkonnen is going to be the stronghold over here. House Atreides is going to have all these desert camps, and they're going to have some more control of these sandworms as you try to go into some degree of area control and conflict as you go through it. Overall, again, really enjoyed the gameplay of it. And let's take a look at some miniatures. Do we have tape bits over here? We do not have tape bits, fortunately. So let's go ahead and take a look at what we have. We have our dice. Let's take a look at our dice before we do the miniatures. And again, so far miniatures are good, not necessarily great. I think they have more of that true scale aspect I was mentioning. So we got our dice over here. There we go. All these dice over here, you'll be rolling these for, various combat and, I don't know, all the various... Well, the combat actually has an interesting mechanism as far as how you spend your dice in combat. I actually did enjoy going through that, although I'll have to read this rulebook all over again. But I don't know. You're taking actions. You're trying to figure out your action economy in the game. The whole idea. It almost reminds me a bit of General Orders World War II. In the sense that if you've played General Orders World War II, there's a degree of almost worker placement to an area control game, where it's all about trying to choose which actions you're going to take to give you the edge. This is a much more complicated, in a good way, version of that same, entity. Oh, we got some fun miniatures. Okay, so let's put this off to the side over here. We're going to have to get the expansion stuff too, so let's move things around a bit. Let's show you some of these miniatures. Let's zoom in on the camera if we can. We got these over here. So we got the Reverend Mother and the Reverend Mother Jessica. I believe that's both of them. Again, you have different versions of the same character. We have Paul and then Paul Muad'Dib, whatever it is. The prince of the Duke's son versus being in the desert. And again, they're gonna have the Dune movie coming out pretty soon, which is, the turnaround time in this game hasn't been bad in my opinion. I think these have to be 28. These have to be 28 and true scale. They have to be. This is not a 32 miniature, I believe, but I don't know, people who follow the campaign a bit more I shouldn't say follow, I should say people who cared about that stuff doing the campaign might know more about that, because this is the kind of thing where, should we put some guys on the board? No, I'm not going to do that. I don't want to try to figure out where these guys go after. We have these over here, so again, it's more characters, but you can see, the scale over here, it looks fine. The miniatures are fine, but I'm not quite blown away by all of these. We have some of these camps over here, or whatever these are. These, I assume, are the camps that go into, the general area. There we go. Look at those little, places, the fortresses that they retreat to. All these are fine, but we're going to go ahead and take a look at the next aspect in a second. Where does everything go here? Because I have to figure out my table management as I go through this. We're going to move you out of the way over here, and move you over there. We also have the Spacing Guild to go through soon, and the Smugglers as well. We'll go through all that shortly. Anyways, we got more miniatures. We got this guy over here, whose name I should remember, because he's an important character. But, I know who he is. I don't remember his name, though. I don't remember who he is. He's that giant guy. He floats a lot. And he's got control issues. He wants to be too close to the Emperor. Some things you gotta let go. Sometimes you're just not where you're going to be in life, and you need to accept that. You can't always get what you want, and sometimes it's not worth slaughtering entire civilizations just to get control of the space. Because, effectively, you're just painting a target on your back, so, what's the upside of that? We have all these over here. So a lot of units to go through, in addition to the basic heroes and characters we have. There's the basic, because those are all the hero characters. There's hero characters for each side, but then there's some basic grunts and workforce over here. which we got these, which look fun. They look cool. They look great. Put them down on the board in different spots over here, and we're going to go ahead and see how they control different areas of the board. We'll throw a few down and just pop them down to see what's, I don't know. We got different little characters. All of their, in this game, you're going to be going by the bases, by the way. So, for example, these two bases, even though it's different sculpts, they have the same type of base. But as you see, there's three, the square, hexagons, and circle bases over there. Let's throw down a little herald into that mix as well for our little, I don't know, batch of people that are fighting for control of the desert and the spice and all that. But then we have over here, we have more, because let's see if they're going to be taped on. Nope, they're not taped on. We got more over here. Come on often does little small strips of tape, but this time none of those. But we do, I don't even know what I'm going to do over here. Give me a second to figure out how I want to handle this as far as being able to take this out without causing issues, because this is the big guy. This is the big guy who needs to be unwound, so I can go ahead. I have to cut through this. Nope, I think I can unwind this. The problem is these things are actually hard enough to cut through that it's either I saw back and forth or I just do this slowly but surely. Neither one is particularly compelling to watch, but both of them will have the end result of you being able to see a giant sandworm on the desert floor. So, this guy over here, you can go away. This is a fun miniature. So if we show you this guy over here, that is your giant epic sandworm, which is going to smack down on the table. So if you can't even see it over here. Can we see it over there? There we go. That's your epic sandworm person over here who's, in terms of scaling, that is your sandworm fight or battle. Now we do have smaller sandworms on the table, so if you do want a bit of a smaller situation going on, we do have a few of these different models that are just, well, smaller. But it depends what you're looking for. How much of a board impact do you want as far as these sandworms? You probably should put them into sand, like actual sand, because I don't know, it feels. The problem is this guy you can't see unless it's at a specific. When it's in this shot, let's put it over here. You can see it over here, so you can get a sense of where he is off. No, let's go ahead and curve it like there. There we go. Close enough. It looks like it's in sand. And we got a whole sandworm little puzzle going on. But we also have our more of these miniatures popping up on the board. So again, this is going to have a table presence as you go through it, which is the intent. I mean, you have this giant freaking sandworm on the table. You're going to have a fight that people can get behind. And these are all, I don't know, just more of these various miniatures for the various different things you got. Different characters, different types of characters. The circle base, the hex base, all of that stuff. It's a lot of miniatures. I don't know. I like the sandworms. I do like the sandworms. These all feel smaller. They're not the worst, not by any means, but they're also not the best, I guess. They're okay. Like, look at the details. The level of details. Like, detail is good. They just feel smaller, which I guess that's because they probably are smaller. And then underneath, what do we have over here? We got some more camps, and then we got underneath here. Oh, these guys are fun. Okay, let's take a look at these guys, and then figure out how to all put this back, because, dear Lord. Okay, don't fall on the floor, please. That would not be great in my video. We got our little orthocopters, or whatever they're called. I think they're called something like that. But we got stands for the orthocopters. That's even better, because that makes it look cooler. Genuinely. Like over here, when you pop this down into the board space over here, having the flying orthocopter is definitely better. Having a non-flying orthocopter, definitely worse. We have our little things over here that rescue your orthocopters. Now I wonder, let's put this down over here so you can see it. But I do wonder as far as whether it actually can pull up a crawler or not, because that would be cool. Here we go. Like, see this over here? This is that guy over here. How cool would it be if it could actually carry the crawler? Can it actually carry the crawler? I don't think it's actually structured in a way that you can. But it's cool in theory. Can we? Can we do it at all? Something? I mean, you could, in theory. Let's do it like this, okay? Let's grab it. This is probably not being used the way it's intended to, but we're going to figure it out. Okay? Can we put it down on the table? It works. It works. Over here, look at this. Look at this. See that there? That's carrying the crawler. That's completely carrying the crawler. We got it. So, I don't know if this is confirmed or not, but you can now carry the crawler. Is that like intended? Is that actually intended, or is that like a happy accident? Because, for context, these things are supposed to go out into the desert and rescue your crawler. So when a sandworm pops up, you can dispatch one of these, and boom, you rescue your crawler. Now, again, if you've watched Dune or read Dune, you'll know that that's the point. That is the concept. This is not from, like, the movie. The movie's just continuing it. But I like the fact that you can have this on the board. Let's show you another angle over here so you can see this over here. So we can, like, that is not bad. We have a carried crawler. I am more impressed by that than, well, I mean, the sandworm is pretty impressive, but anything else on the table, that's the second most impressive thing I've seen today. I don't know if that's meant to be that way. I mean, design-wise, they obviously have it looking like it can carry a crawler, but is it, like, intended to actually be able to carry a crawler? That's the part I don't know. Can we focus a bit? Focus. We got some more structures. And then that's kind of it. That's kind of it. There's not really a ton to go over here. There's some miniatures, a lot of which are a little underwhelming, honestly. There's gameplay, which was very good from when I played it, but I have to play it again, obviously. The problem is, something I've talked about in other videos is more and more good's not good enough, which I've always said. From the very get-go, I've said good is not good enough. Ever since I started my channel way back when, I always went through a lot of games, and I always said good is not good enough. There's too many great games. It gets harder and harder to justify owning like mediocre games. Good is not good enough. The thing that's changed is more and more it's getting to the point where great isn't good enough. Like, great is genuinely not good enough more and more. Like, I have great games that I can't get to our table because there's too many great games that are pulling my attention in different ways. Now, there is a degree of self-control as a component here. You do want to be mindful of that. You don't have to get every single great thing. Just today, I was telling my son, he wanted another Minecraft mod, and he just got a Minecraft mod. So I was like, enjoy the Minecraft mod you have. You know, you don't need to immediately get to the next Minecraft mod. Like, at least play with the last one you had for, like, at least a week. So, aside from feeling like a complete and total hypocrite while I told him that, because I play every single game under the sun, I mean, this is a different conversation. A long story short, by the way, it turns out the new Minecraft mod he wanted wasn't actually going to solve this problem anyway. So the conversation ended with us learning a little lesson about not buying things that don't solve your problems. Well, he did. I still haven't. But, maybe he didn't. He heard the words, but we'll see how that manifests in real life. Anyways, past that, though, the whole... Where does this go? This goes over here? Maybe? Possibly? It feels like it should go there, but I'm not sure if it does. Let's put it down there and see how that goes. But anyways, where was I? Too many board games. Too many great board games. So you don't have to go out and get every single great game. You can enjoy the ones you have totally fine. Now, I am in a slightly different situation. I review games. If I start just enjoying the ones I have, well, I may have to go back to my old job again, because part of my job is based around, well, covering games and having content on games that are out there. So I do have that both an excuse and obligation. It's both at the same time. In fact, if you missed it, Tom Vassell from the Dice Tower just put out a video, actually, just this past week, of the problems of being a board game reviewer. And this is like stuff I've talked about on my channel a lot over the years, and I'm sure I will again, but like, being a board game reviewer, because I posted a link, or someone posted a link in my Discord, and somebody else was like, oh, imagine that, this is a shock. Turns out that a job is a job. Oh, what was it? I think the take was, oh, a job's a job. Meaning, effectively, the person was like being like, well, of course it's work. Of course it's not great. That makes sense. He wasn't ribbing on Tom. He was just like, this doesn't need to be said. And I was like, it does need to be said, because the amount of people who will sit there and say comments like, hey, you're reviewing board games. This is a privilege. You should do it without expecting money at all. Like, you know, you're turning your hobby into your job. You should expect nothing for it. Well, fine, first of all, but in general, it is a job. Being a content creator is 100% a job. Even this video, I forgot to hit the record button on my fancy gizmo, so I'm going to have to hit there and splice in 3 different camera angles on the edit after this, because I didn't do it properly beforehand. And even when I do it properly, there's still editing, there's still thumbnails, there's still timestamps. Every single video I need goes through several steps. There's the playing of the game, which is usually a helpful component for most reviews. Not always essential. Unboxings don't necessarily involve them. I happen to have played this, but it's not necessary. Then we still have other boxes to go through here, so I should probably start putting things away. Then we have the playing of the game however many times you need to feel comfortable reviewing it. We have the taking notes and putting them together, meaning I have to sit there and think through every review, like, what is it I want to say? Because even though I don't script my videos, I do show up to every review with a list of bullet points of the things that I want to talk about, the points I want to hit. Because I don't want to just, like, hope that I hit them off the cuff. I want to think through, like, what did I like? What didn't I like? What do I think others would or wouldn't enjoy? Why won't this fit back in the box? I see what I did. Some of you may have spotted that. I didn't spot that. This doesn't go here. This doesn't even go there. Where does this go? No, really, like, where does this go? Why is there, like, an extra layer of this? I don't understand how this works at all. Does this go... Okay, this goes over there. This goes back in here. Yeah, so I have to go ahead and, where was I? Scripting videos? Is that what we're up to? We were talking about scripting videos. Yeah, scripting videos. So I try to do that to a degree. Not script, but putting together some degree of notes. And then I follow that up with the actual filming, which takes time. Then the editing, which sometimes is a lot, sometimes is a little. Depends on what video I'm actually doing at any given point. Then there's the thumbnail and timestamp, which are both components that need to be done at some point or another because, well, they need to be done. And then lastly, there's the... No, there's nothing else after that. That's it. That's all the stuff. That's basically it. There's work to being a content creator. There's work to being a reviewer. I still don't know how we got into this conversation. I think I said something and then went down a rabbit hole. But either way, that's going to be your core box of Dune, War for Arrakis. Forgot that step. We'll deal with it later. anyways, we got 2 expansions to go through. So let's go through the expansions first, and then we'll unbox and rebox this after. So, where was I? We're talking about Dune. We're talking about too many great games. That's what it was. So games. So yeah. So more and more, it's hard to keep great games. Now I only keep the very great of the great games, which means that it used to be a 4 out of 5 was fairly safe in my collection, and now a 4 out of 5, there's like a 40% chance it's safe, maybe a 50% chance if I'm lucky. 4 out of 5s are not as safe as they used to be just because there's too many games. Like my top 100 of all time this past year had all 5s and 4.5s. There wasn't a single 4 in my top 100 because there's just too many great games. And a conversation I've had a long time ago. Like, I remember someone once asked, like, shouldn't you adjust your ratings to the games? Like, shouldn't, like, a 3.5 be the most common rating? Which, first of all, by the way, it is. Or wait, maybe they don't want 3.5. Maybe they want it lower. I don't know. Either way, they were saying, like, as games get better, shouldn't you, like, adjust your scores downwards to account for that? So, like, what used to be a 4 might become a 3.5. And my answer is a firm no, to me. I understand the incentive for that, but it's definitely a firm no for a variety of reasons. The first is, how do you backwards compatible all your reviews if you're doing something like that? So we have the Spacing Guild over here. All the components of the Spacing Guild. We got our miniatures. We got our little Spacing Guild tray. Now, this is all stuff I haven't touched at all. I have no idea how any of this works. I mean, it involves the Spacing Guild, so that's all I know. We got these over here. We got some cards to go through. We have our little... Oh, there we got. You see, we got tape on these ones over here. Anyway, so how do you backwards compatible all your reviews if you adjust your ratings? Meaning, if I say, hey, games are getting better, so I should adjust all my scores downwards, well, everything that used to be a 4 is still saying a 4 on camera. Now, don't get me wrong. The reviews do change over time. Opinions do change over time. And so it's never going to be a perfect system. Other side, too. It's never going to be a perfect system. But there's a difference between having some degree of adjustments because of a taste changing or, seeing the game's flaws or brilliance as time goes on versus just saying across the board all my ratings are kind of defunct and no longer accurate. I just feel it's a different level of confusion for what your ratings actually mean. And also, I just don't think that's the right call, even if it was practically viable. Even if I could snap my fingers and have all the reviews update, I wouldn't want to, because a 4 is still a 4. A great game is still a great game. A great game does not become less of a great game just because other great games exist. The only difference is you just have less time for the other great games. Now, if you're saying, well, what about the inevitable problem when eventually all games are so good that they're all 5 out of 5s? My answer is, that's never going to happen. It's never going to happen, please. Especially with the rise of AI now. We have a whole different challenge right now, where the rise of AI potentially puts a problem on our table, where now we're looking at the possibility, not the certainty, mind you, but the possibility of having, like, AI-created games that are just hot garbage, but hey, you managed to throw together something that was... It won't even be hot garbage, honestly. They might be halfway decent. They just will be a hodgepodge of mechanics that get thrown into the ecosystem. They have AI art, AI design, AI playtesting, and everything kind of works. May not be amazing, but if it works, it still works. And I guarantee you, this is the harsh reality, I guarantee you there could be AI-created games, not today, today we're still not yet there, but there could be, well, I like this piece, I don't know what's up with it, but you could have AI-created games that are not necessarily great, but are better than a lot of the games that are otherwise out there. The harsh reality is that AI has its problems, AI has ethical whatever, but you will still have AI end results that are potentially better than the non-AI results out there. But I do think AI, for a long time at least, will not be able to create, top 100 games. That's my instinct. I could be wrong on that, I don't know. It's a scary future we're looking at. But anyways... And so if it's not top 100 games, we are looking at a world where lots of AI-generated things will be out there. But also, everyone thinks that they're creating the next game. Everyone walks into the hobby, is passionate about board games, and then says, I'm going to create a game, which is a nice thought. And I aspire to that passion, but not everything that is created needs to necessarily exist, which is a harsh and mean thing to say. But I'll rephrase it. Lots of people embrace the things they're doing out of a sense of passion. Whether you're talking about, someone creating a board game, like this current conversation, whether you're talking about someone trying to be a content creator, which is a relevant thing as well, that people are like, I want to talk about board games. That happens a lot. Whether you're talking about someone who's passionate about music, and they create a band with their buddies, and they do a garage band, or whatever it is. Not everything that is created for a love of the thing, for a love of the craft, for love of the hobby, for love of art, for love of anything, not everything that is created is something that is good enough to be worthy of consumption by all. It is admirable to turn your hobby, turn your passion into something else. That's admirable, for sure. There's an element of something cool to that, of taking action on the thing that you love and embracing the thing that you love. That's all good stuff. But you also have to recognize that if you are approaching it not from being an expert on the subject, but rather from being a passionate consumer of the subject, there is a chance, there's always a chance that the thing you create is inspired more by your love of the thing and not necessarily by being good at the thing. One of the reasons I haven't designed a board game yet is just because I love board games does not mean I'll be good at designing board games. Now, make no mistake, the flip side of that is there's always people who hold off on embracing their love of the thing because they're like too scared of that, you know, what if it's not good enough? Or what if I can't create things that are good enough to be worth their consumption? And that's where you have these different like edge cases. Like I held off on being a content creator for a very long time because I was like, why am I going to talk about things on camera? I know Chris George, Women Board, he also had a very similar thought of like, what can I add to the space? And then he saw that there were new content creators who were adding to the space, and he's like, well, if they can, then I can certainly try. And here he is trying and doing a great job. And so like, you do have people who are able to turn their passion into something more successfully who might have otherwise held off. There's no question. But also you'll have things which don't always work as well. Why do we get into this? Because we're talking about the flooding of the market. Not all games will be... This is the tangent we go on. Because not all games will be 5 out of 5. I guarantee it. People will continuously create things. As you see things created, as you see successes, people will embrace the hobby and try to make their own thing into a success. And some of them will be incredible. You see incredible games from first-time designers. Incredible games. We got new factions over here, whatever it is. What is it even? It's the Smugglers Guild. The Smugglers Guild. We got these new carriers over here, which... Does this carrier fit into this one? You see? This carrier doesn't even come close. There's no carrier adjustment over here. That's too wide. It doesn't even remotely catch on at all. So I'm guessing the other one was a fluke, because if this one had fit, then I'd be... Let me show you this a bit more. Different kind of carrier over here. But anyways, yeah. So the short version is games are getting not necessarily better even. Like, I think there is some degree of games getting better, but there's also a question of there's more. There's just more, which means the ones that make the cut are also more inherently as a ratio. If you create 100 books every year, and 1 out of every 100 books is great, well, you'll have 1 great book every year. If you create 1,000,000 books every year, that number of great books will be higher. It's just a numbers game. But then also on my end, there's longevity. Games do age out over multiple plays, over amount of time. For me, at least, they do. I find that as I play them more, there's a degree of, okay, great, I've played you enough, and I'm less interested in pulling you out than I was before. But that doesn't happen as often as great games are being added to the market. So even though it is happening, the great games are being added faster, which just changes the entire conversation. So there is that. But yeah, I think that's where we are on the whole issue. So, great games. This is a great game. I don't know what my rating for this game is. I haven't played it enough to really fully parse into where I am with it. I really enjoyed it. I do hope that I get to table it more before I look at it, 3 years from now and say, hey, you know that Dune game? I only played it once before the crowdfunding campaign. Although, of course, it is a command game, which has me willing to take that gamble and leap and see if it's a game for me or not. That is always the upside of things, but ultimately, that's where we are. That is going to be your Command Dune War for Arrakis over here, which I will have to rebox in a second. But until I do, we can go ahead and enjoy these last few boxes. I'm a little annoyed that these boxes can't flip. Like, once you're going to go for it, let's like fully embrace the whole situation. And then let me go ahead and rebox this so I can not worry about the miniatures falling open, because they belong in that nice, beautiful brown box. In any case, until next time, this has been your unboxing and rambling of Dune, War for Arrakis. Until next time, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co. I hope you enjoyed this video, and as always, I hope you have a good one.